everyone to another review in the silent film marathon, and today we'll be looking at one of the most famous silent films ever made, and basically one of the most important films ever made, full stop, and it's Battleship Potemkin, which is partly how it's pronounced, which I found it in the booklet. This is a BFI Blu-Ray release and it looks great and definitely worth a purchase, and I'll get into why right now. For those that haven't seen the film, it came out in 1925 in USSR, which is now Russia, and it's based on a real event that happened in 1905. Basically, it was the Russian Revolution starting in Odessa. It's very much considered a propaganda film, and it's any wonder with the themes of revolution that it deals with, and the rise of communism with the red flag that we see, for instance, in the film. So that is my one nitpick of the film, really, because it's one that I appreciate more than enjoy due to its heavy-handed message. But yes, Battleship Potemkin is a very famous film indeed, and one of the reasons is the editing style, which at the time was quite a revolution. Sergei Eisenstein, the director, revolutionised editing with the speed of the action, which you can definitely see in the film compared to other films of that time period. Before 1925, that is, films were a bit slower in telling their stories. Here the editing's just quick cuts, especially in the famous step scenes. According to the booklet, the incident of the Odessa step scene is absolutely devastating in the film and works very great dramatically, and you can definitely see how it supports the rise of communism and just being anti-establishment of such a thing happening, such a travesty. But apparently, when we see the troops coming down the steps, there's a dozen of them. They're all shooting several people. Several shots are being fired. But apparently, in this incident, only a few shots were fired, and there was only a few deaths. Regardless of the fact that people were killed during this time, the film definitely dramatises that. So you can definitely see how they're trying to be very anti-establishment and show how good communism is. Now, without going into my politics or anything, which I'm not that well versed in, I'm not sure how to feel about the way it tries to address communism in that sense by dramatising the truth to convince people to like communism, if you know what I mean. So that's the only thing that I don't really like. That's why I can only really truly appreciate the film and what it stands for its time, and the influence that it had, and the impact that it had, rather than a film that I would love to rewatch over and over and enjoy. But regardless, it's obviously a great film. Moving on, the music is one of my favourite things about it, and apparently it was a soundtrack that was thought lost for a while, and it's how I watched it the first time on YouTube, I believe. The soundtrack by, who's the music by? And the score is from Austrian composer Edmund Meisel, which was composed for the Berlin premiere in 1926. So that's the one that they stuck in this version of the film, and it works absolutely brilliantly. I don't think the film would have such a potency and impact without the music, because it's definitely something that anchors it very well in the action that we see. It definitely brings into that atmosphere for sure. Probably one of the best soundtracks in a silent film that I've seen, and one that really does justice to the film. So the plot opens up to a ship of Russian sailors who feel oppressed by the authorities on the boat, who are very poorly treated, very poor living conditions on the boat. And meanwhile, there is a revolution going on at Odessa, which they start to talk about. And basically on the boat they're complaining about their conditions, such as the rotted meat that they refuse to eat. And this soon escalates towards an absolute revolt towards the authorities on the boat. So they completely overthrow the ship, and it's the higher ranks on the ship, and then they go to Odessa, and that's where the revolution is going on. It's only 69 minutes, and it's worth checking out on this edition, because you also get this other film called Drifters, which I haven't watched yet, which came out in 1929, which is, I believe, similar to Potemkin, but I don't know. So yeah, it's quite a good deal. I got this for under £8. As for the actual Blu-ray itself, nice cover, info on the back, the 2 discs. It's a dual format edition, which is nice. And the booklet is quite interesting. I read that essay saying how the film is very heavily fictionalized. There's another essay in here all about Eisenstein's film Potemkin, 2 Drifters, So it probably talks about the influence the film had on drifters or something like that. So yeah, there's quite an interesting booklet, quite many pages, 28 pages booklet. There's a nice image in here as well from the Odessa step scene, and you can see the very brief shot in the film, but definitely has its impact, and it's an image that you don't forget, and it's an image that is often iconic of the film. So overall, it's a film that I appreciate more than enjoy, and it's for its time and what it represents. It's a very important film, and I think it's quite an essential to see, just to have a look. Excuse me, at how this film started, the montage editing style, which we now see everywhere today, through quick cuts and whatnot. And of course the subject matter of it is quite interesting to see for its time, because it's not long after 1905 when this revolution was going on. You know, it's only 20 years after. So it's interesting to see how they tell that kind of story. So yes, overall it's a great movie and one of the best of the silent era. And I think it's worth picking up on this dual format Blu-ray. So check it out, guys. Well, that's this review. If you liked it, be sure to comment below and hit the subscribe button and hit thumbs up. Always appreciate it. So as usual, everyone, stay tuned for more silent film uploads, and I'll see you next time. So overall, as I said, it is a great film for what it represents at its time as this revolution story.